We are a full turnkey company, right? It evolves into what is now called GenXC Group, which essentially it's a full engineering firm with a construction arm, right? Today we do everything from concept, where our customers comes in and tells us, "Hey, I'm thinking of doing this type of providing this type of service in this area," and they essentially delimit with a boundary.
Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteForMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Welcome to another episode of Business Ninjas. I'm here with Rafael Dietsch, who's the CEO of GenXC Engineering. Hey, Rafael, how's it going?
Hey, Andy, how are you?
Doing great. Glad to have you here. Tell me a little bit about GenXC Engineering and what you do over there.
GenXC Engineering, we are a full turnkey company, right? It evolves into what is now called GenXC Group, which essentially it's a full engineering firm with a construction arm. So we started back in 2016 doing a lot of pole loading analysis, which is essentially aerial engineering for telecom facilities, and evolve into the full suite of services. Right? Today we do everything from concept, where our customers comes in and tells us, "Hey, I'm thinking of doing this type of providing this type of service in this area," and they essentially delimit with a boundary an area, and our engineers, they know better than me, man. They go in and they create all the planning, do all the subdivisions, and then create everything they need to get permits and eventually getting it built for our customers.
Wonderful. And tell me a little bit about geographically, where are you and what the scope of the projects are that you work on?
So right now, our company has multiple offices throughout the East Coast of the United States. We have worked in about 40 states up to date. In the US, mainly with the engineering arm. The construction arm has been working. We currently have worked on 4 to 5 states, currently active projects today. We have worked in over 7 different states. Interesting, growing a lot, pushing a lot new telecom services for the carriers, the main carriers.
I see. And so what does a build out usually consist of? What's the scope of that? Is it like sourcing the location and surveying that, and then going in? And tell me a little bit about the scope of the projects that you typically work on.
It depends a lot on the project itself, but generally speaking, what we call a full turnkey project consists of engineering, what we call planning, which is essentially subdividing and understanding how the fiber needs to be routed through a particular neighborhood, right? And then from there, we go into design and permitting, which is essentially taking the overall plan, what we call the HLD, the high level plan design, and we now take it to ground, right? We ground it. We say, okay, here we need this type of permit to be able to complete this facility in that area. And from there, it gets into the permitting team, which gets the appropriate permits from the municipalities and permit agencies. And from there, then we take it to construction, which is the arm that actually builds it, like physically builds it, right? They go in, and we have a special machines called directional bore, which essentially, the easiest way to understand is it's kind of like a drill, but it's a drill that we control. It goes underground, and we have a device that is essentially a locator on ground, right, above ground, and someone is walking and detecting where the drill is going. So that's how we avoid hitting any other facilities that exist today underground. And with that combination with the information that came from the engineering and design department, they are able to avoid hitting existing facilities from other customers.
Very cool. So interesting. I love this large scale kind of implementation and construction. Tell me a little bit about how you got into this business. There's usually, well, a couple of things. One is that people love to hear an origin story of a business and how an entrepreneur took the bull by the horns and said, I'm going to create this. Tell me a little bit about that. And then also, usually an origin story starts with a problem that you may have incurred. So tell me a little bit about the origin story of how you started your company.
It's funny you mentioned, because it does, right? I'm a telecom engineer by trade, right? That is actually my career. But in 2016, there was a lot of problems with firms getting accurate information from the field, and being able to do, like I told you, we started on the poles, right? A lot of miscalculation, a lot of misinformation of people. Well, I guess let me take you back to that time, right? At that time, there was a boom in telecom, right? And what happened is a ton of firms pop up all over the place, right? In that, the quality significantly took a hit, right? Generally speaking. So from the very beginning, our thought was, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it exceeding customer expectations, right? We are going to do something different than what we see general offer in the market. Our focus is going to be quality, specifically, right? And that's kind of like how we started, right? We saw a niche where we said, okay, let's focus on pole loading analysis, right? Let's do good calculations for the poles. So fast forward a couple of years, that was our mentality, let's say, right? Our north was to provide. I often tell my team, our customers are already paying us to meet expectations. The way we get the next project is by exceeding expectations, right? And it's something that where we go above and beyond. You hear so many times, right? And people use it as a cliche, but the reality is everyone loves a cherry on top, right? So when you go in and you're able to deliver not only quality services for your customers, but also understand how can I go above and beyond. And that doesn't necessarily mean something where you're spending money. It could be a little better treatment, communicate a little bit more with the customer, maintain that communication, right? Constant communication with them, where they're able to feel that you're providing that cherry on top, right? You're going above and beyond. And that was important for us. From the very beginning, we assign a single point of contact, right? A SPOC. And the main reason for that, we told the customer, look, it is our job to provide good information for you, timely information for you, right? It is not your job to look for our personnel. Look for your information throughout 10 different people in my company, right? Our job is to make sure that our customer is always communicated. It's always aware of what's going on in the project. And we took that very, very seriously from the very beginning of the company, right? And from that time, we grew into all these other specialties, right? That you can go and look in our website. And the main reason for that was riding on the early success, if that makes sense, to the point where fast forward 2018, we became so good at doing QC and providing high quality services. And I say, generally speaking, high quality services, that our customers started asking us to do QC for our competition. That was mind-boggling for me, right? Because it's like you rating your competition, but with permission from your customer. And it was incredible. And obviously we capitalized on that and started branching out into other type of services, right? We saw the opportunity there. So look, we really can provide this as a service. People will actually buy it. Even though they see us as competitors, we provided that and we expanded the business, believe it or not, by doing that as well. You might think, well, but you're helping your competition. Yeah, to a point, yes. But we kept business alive in other markets. So that allows us to expand further in other services. So it was an interesting mix. It was at the time, a lot of thinking, a lot of thought to see if it makes sense. But I'm definitely glad we did it. It allows us to not only expand our services throughout different states, but also to expand our network, which was important. Fast forward a few more years, we were able to leverage the larger network and expand even further the business.
Congratulations. I love that story. And it's so great to hear leading with success, leading with integrity and high quality results leads to more client engagement. Tell me a little bit about how long are these projects that you work on? Are they 3 months? Are they year-long projects? What's typical engagement rate?
It depends. Again, it could range from a 90 days project to up to several years, right? Like we have very, very large deployments today that are multi-year projects, right? On average, however, I would say 90 days. It takes about 30 to 40 days to permit. And from there, you get a series of safety meetings that happens before you start building it. And then from there is constructions and cleanup and making sure restorations are good. And overall, that's a decent cycle.
Great. And how many people are typically deployed on a project with you when you work on a project?
Today we have a little over 300 people, right?
Congratulations.
But per project, you go in. Typically, let's say a small project, right? Typically, you go with you get some engineers involved. You're talking about 5 to 6 people on the engineering side, a couple more people on the permitting side, and then about 8 to 10 on the construction side, depending on the type of project. Right?
Fantastic. And so many companies got hurt by COVID. It sounds like you guys are in growth mode here. Tell me a little bit about how you kind of weathered that storm and how you're growing the company today.
So it was we treat everyone in our company. We call it the GenXC family, right? And during COVID, every business got hit. We were not the exception, right? Especially on the first quarter, I would say. Well, here's what happens. Our financial strength allows us to weather that storm, right? We're very conservative, Andy, on how we do spending. And we have always kept an eye on the financials. What happened is that we made a decision of keeping our employees, right? And I'm glad we did. A lot of companies were not as fortunate as we were, right, in our industry. So what ended up happening is that the demand continued to be there, right? As a matter of fact, it increased. Ironically, during COVID, when most businesses weren't as lucky as the telecom industry ramped up significantly because now people were in their houses and they needed internet services, and they needed, people that used to have 50 megs now want 500 meg or a gig because now they're working from home. They have their kids working remote. So that, with a combination of an increase in the significant increase in demand and less suppliers, it gave us the opportunity to immediately grab our experienced people and put them into projects, right? It was a challenge, but our company is very, very good at adapting, and to new situations, right? So we immediately leverage most of the tools that most companies are leveraging today. The good thing is that we were already very proficient at doing that, right? So when the time came, we tweaked our methodology, everything that we did, and partially tweak our processes, and we were able to essentially adapt to the COVID problem, because it was a problem all over the world. I was going to say the US, but really the world.
All over the world.
Yeah, and thank God we were able to, grab the bull by the horn, and we were able to adapt to the situation. And even though we took a hit at the beginning, we ended up growing, towards the end of the year because the demand.
I love that. Great story and great entrepreneurial spirit behind that, and way to hold your team members close and help them weather those conditions as well. It's really remarkable. Really, congratulations on that. That's great. Let's switch gears a little bit. It sounds like there's a bit of education that happens with your new customer acquisition process a little bit. Tell me a little bit about how you educate your customers or prospective customers on services that you offer so that you can quickly get aligned around a scope.
So one of the first things we do when we, let's say a brand new customer, we approach them, we don't go and tell them what we offer. We go in and look for their needs, right? We go in immediately and ask, sit down with them, understand what are their current needs. And the funny part, I told you that we're very good at adapting, right? And I guess thinking outside the box, right? Is the best analogy that I can think of. So when we go in, we understand the customer needs, and we from there match it to the best services that we currently provide. And if we need to tweak or modify or even create a new type of services for our customers, we have done that in the past, right? And that's how we adapt to the new situations, right? And we keep on, I guess, sharpening our tools, if that makes sense, right? We keep on transforming the company based on the market needs, right? Those needs change, and whoever doesn't see that ahead is not paying attention to their customer.
Love it. I guess my last question here for you is, if you were to forecast out a year from now, what would you like to be celebrating?
Retirement. We are
more gas in the car on that one. I can tell you that. I can already tell.
Well, it depends on who you ask. Like you ask my wife, she said, "You'll never retire. You'll die in a chair." No, I think our company is set on some very aggressive milestones for the next couple of years. Some I can tell you, we have been blessed with more than double growth consistently for the past few years, and this year we're set on almost triple in size. And so, from my perspective, I have some long-term milestones that include certain things that I can't say here, but let's say it's big.
I'm excited for you. That sounds great. Well, I hope you meet those goals, and look forward to hearing more success from you, Rafael. It's been a pleasure talking with you. Thank you.
Likewise, Andy. It was great seeing you and having this conversation with you.
And tell people how they can find you.
They can log into www.genxcgroup.com or www.genxc.com.
Wonderful. All right. Well, thanks again, Rafael. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Likewise, Andy. Take care.